Hit that subscribe button to never miss my plant-based recipes and videos.
Plant-based desserts are a mystery to a lot of people, and puddings are really no different. But I'm gonna show you how to make one that you could use on top of a parfait or just eating on its own. The one we're making today is a spicy ginger pudding, but you can modify the ingredients. Instead of using some of the spices I've got, you can put in cocoa powder, experiment, and play around. So we're gonna start with a base of firm tofu. We're gonna use about 12 ounces, a third of a cup of maple syrup, 2 teaspoons of ginger powder, a tablespoon of grated ginger, as well as 2 teaspoons of grated orange zest. And then we're just gonna add a pinch of salt and a splash of vanilla. And then we are gonna crank this on high until it's all blended together nicely. All right, that should do it. Let's give it a little taste and see how it is. Oh! That's magic in my mouth. I'm so excited, I don't even have words. The ginger isn't too intense, but the orange and it just balance together beautifully. You could serve this over fruit as part of a parfait, but we're gonna come back later on in the episode and I'll show you what I'm gonna use it for. So now I'm gonna show you how we're gonna create this really epic, delicious dessert that looks complicated, but it's super simple. It's a trifle. The first thing we're gonna do is make a cake. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna whisk together all of our dry ingredients. So we put in 1 cup of flour. I'm using whole wheat. So now we're gonna add in some baking powder, baking soda, and salt, as well as just short of a half a cup of coconut sugar and just shy of half a cup of cocoa powder. So that is nicely combined. Now we're gonna add in all of our wet ingredients together. I added a half a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to some plant milk. I'm using oat here, and that makes it curdle, so it creates a bit of a buttermilk. Some applesauce. This is in place of the oil, a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. And then we are gonna stir that all together. Now we're gonna mix in our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients. So now we're gonna add the magic ingredient that keeps this cake really moist. Boiling water. You don't wanna add this until everything else is combined, and you wanna add it in slowly. Stir a little bit, keep on going. This is what's gonna keep it really moist and delicious as it's baking in the pan. So use a circular 9-inch cake pan. I've got a silicone one here. If you've got a metal one, make sure you grease it somehow before you go. We're gonna smack it. That gets the air bubbles out of it. And now we're gonna bake it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes. When it's done, take a toothpick, stick it in, and see if it comes out clean. If it does, let it rest for about 10 minutes inside the pan, and then transfer it to a cooling rack until it's completely cooled. Our cake is cooling, and we're almost ready to assemble the trifle. But first, I wanna make the top layer, which is whipped cream. Now you're asking, how do I make whipped cream plant-based? The magic ingredient, aquafaba. What's aquafaba? Chickpea juice. If you make your own chickpeas using dried beans, you can just cook it down and then get it to about this opacity. You want it to be cold before we start making the whipped cream. What we're gonna do is pour this into the mixer and crank it on high and add the half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Let that go until it's semi-opaque. We're gonna bring down the speed and mix in a tablespoon of maple syrup at a time and bring it back up for about a minute. Go back and forth doing that until it's the right level of sweetness for you. If you don't wanna use maple syrup, you could also use icing sugar for this. Keep doing this until stiff peaks have formed inside of the whipped cream. And then you're gonna wanna add in a teaspoon of vanilla and a splash of lemon and any other flavor mix-ins or extracts you wanna use. Mix it for about another 3 minutes. The beauty of this stuff is you can't overmix it like you do with egg whites. Look at how the peak doesn't move. That is when you know it is ready. Now we're gonna assemble our trifle. So trifles are based on 5 different layers: base, cream, fruit, sauce, garnish. So what we're gonna use for the base is this chocolate cake we made earlier. I've cut it into triangles to make it pretty. On top of that, we're gonna lay that ginger cream we made earlier in the episode. Then we're gonna put on some mango that I roasted. On top of that, we are gonna add the aquafaba whipped cream we just made, and then we're gonna top it with some toasted coconut. It's gorgeous. It's all about that layering. You can see all the different layers from the outside of the dish. You got your base, you got your cream, your fruit, your sauce on top, and your wonderful, wonderful coconut garnish. This thing is way too pretty for me to have by myself. This is the kind of dish you want to share. Oh. Grab a spoon.
Thank you, sir.
Pretty good.
There you go. It's so good. It was pretty, now it's a mess, but that's okay. Fruit just has to taste good. If it looks good, that's a bonus.
Go to pbwithj.ca for these recipes and more. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and click that notification bell.